Peace, good evening. I'd like to welcome everyone back to another edition of the Foul Playland. As always, I'm your Foul Player. Want to make a short video regarding the Mark Breland and the Deontay Wilder situation, or another video. I still haven't heard the Mark Breland situation. I've heard other people talking about it, so I've I know like the major talking points of like what Breland put out, like, and I know like the overall situation that he did go to a UK based channel to make his video or his interview bashing Wilder. Privy to all these things. But the thing is that, like I looked at it and it was like a 2 hour video. I was like, to hell with this. I'm not gonna listen to all this. And Breland, from the little I haven't heard of him, he doesn't strike me as a very good listen as far as interviews go. And I'm not like dissing him, but I just didn't really have interest. Plus, I'm not really listening to much boxing YouTube talk of late. But today I was painting, as evidenced by my shirt, my son's room, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna listen to Wilder's response. And it was only 17 minutes, and it was on 78 Sports TV. So I was like, you know what? What the hell? Like, let me listen to it. And shout out to 78 Sports TV for providing the interview. But here's my takeaways on the matter. At first, I was a little bit concerned because Wilder didn't sound his typical self. Like, he didn't sound like, more like hot to trot. Like, as far as like being like very witty and whatnot. But then in the latter portion of it, he did start sounding like the Wilder of old, if you will. But it's kind of like left me with more questions than answers. Like, one, I was thinking, from other people that I've listened to, that he really wasn't blaming Breland for the illegalities that are being thrown out there. But this is kind of like the first where you get Wilder himself kind of like putting the fact that his water may have been spiked or him not feeling good at Breland's doorstep, seemingly. And I don't even know what to say. Do I like? And I'm one of the people that thinks that Wilder did look off in the second fight, particularly. But and Breland got ahead of that in his interview, and he said that he ain't have nothing to do with the or that he didn't touch the water. Again, do I think Wilder's water could have been spiked? Possibly. Do I think it was Mark Breland? I don't think so. A lot of people, and it's not because a lot of people can't come up with a good reason as to why he did it. But some of the things that I have heard is that, he's been covertly working for Kronk, or got I guess seduced with the assistance of past association by Sugar Hill, and his association to Kronk. I just don't buy that. That's really it's kind of a stretch. And that's like other people like putting it out there. Wasn't Wilder's reasoning. Wilder's reasoning was more like, that he just kept him along, and like that Breland may have had some unstated hate because of Wilder's success and Breland's lack of success as a professional fighter. But then again, you're carrying him along for 13 years. And if anything, who's interested? This is one thing that I've always ran with, is the fact that, Breland at the end of the day was introduced to you by Shelly Finkel. Why isn't the ire directed at Shelly Finkel too? Some people are saying that Shelly Finkel might be on the outs as far as with Wilder, and like that he may have already gotten fired or is about to be fired. Shelly Finkel hasn't done a good job with Wilder, I feel. And this has zero to do with Breland. But if you want to add Breland into bad decisions that Shelly Finkel has done, then I mean, no better time than like you know the coach that's in your corner that you're saying that may have had this deep rooted hate for you. Um, at the end of the day, you didn't know Mark Breland until Shelly Finkel recommended that you put him into your camp. But another thing too is that Breland did mention the fact that Wilder like didn't train and whatnot, and he never really was responsive or didn't respond to that question. He didn't say like whether he did road work. That wasn't the question that was given to him, but they did say that or they did mention that Breland stated that he didn't train and whatnot, and he didn't rebuttal that with oh no, I do train. And that was a little bit concerning. But I mean, um say what you will. I mean, like, I'm Wilder. Like, Wilder is my favorite boxer at the moment. I think Wilder was about it. But this doesn't really sit well with me. One, the fact that we don't get many Wilder interviews. I mean, like, this is the first in a long time. Two, the fact that not only in this interview did he not mention the fact that he's like gun ho about trying to fight Fury again, but from the time that he lost to Fury till now, like, there's supposed to be a third fight, and Wilder's very vocal normally, and I just don't see him being on that ass or on Fury's ass about trying to get a third fight. So that's concerning to me. I'm not sure if Wilder's trying to win the support of a fan base that he feels maybe losing a little bit of faith in him, or is he trying to fight Fury? Because I mean, like, goal number one should be fighting Fury, and Fury and AJ are both avoiding Wilder seemingly and trying to fight each other. So I mean, contractually, seemingly, it seems like Wilder's contract had a clause in which he would get another shot at winning back his belt against Fury. Now, not only does it seem like that might be slipping by us again, I'm not sure if that's set in stone, but also I don't see that vocalization on Wilder's part, saying that I like Fury or bust. In fact, I'm hearing other fights from a Wilder, Wilder's rumored to be fighting Charles Martin, no thanks. Andrew Ruiz, definitely no thanks. I mean, I only want to see Wilder fighting one person. I mean, and in spite of the fact that I would like the division to be unified, but if Wilder has a contract that's stating that he should fight Fury, and that contract, according to Bob Arum, may be expired due to the amount of time that's passed. I don't care if you weren't going to make enough money from the fans not being in attendance due to the pandemic. You should have already been on that ass as far as making that fight happen, regardless of the situation. And I don't want to hear nothing about from Wilder or the fans saying, oh well, it's a business and he's gonna make more money if there's fans in attendance. Yeah, but he could also deal with somebody who's super shaky and Tyson Fury and not get that fight at all because you want to fight with fans in attendance. There's no excuse to me. To put it frank, I don't care if it's business, fans in attendance. I mean, you make that fight happen at this stage, and that's me. Also, and you take AJ for example. I mean, a lot of people, me included, thought that it would have been cool if Andy Ruiz dissed AJ outright and unify with Wilder um, right after Andy Ruiz beat AJ in the first fight. But it seemed like their contract was set in stone, and at the end of it, Andy Ruiz got like 10 million bucks or less, like for that fight for that rematch to happen. Now, I mean, like me being a Wilder fan, I'm thinking like I was thinking like maybe even dead the belt and just fight Wilder, and then that would be like the champion of champions. That but contractually, like Andy Ruiz was obligated to fight AJ, and it seemed like that was set in stone. Now, why can't the same thing be applicable like in Wilder's case? If not like for like Wilder letting that contract um, expire due to time, or B, like Wilder's team sucks, which I've said many times. His team does suck, and that contract was seemingly, I mean, if the fight doesn't get made, not as good as the contract that AJ had when he fought Andy Ruiz. Um, but there's more questions than answers. I mean, like in my eyes, like um, there's a couple of dumb things I heard on there too, which I'm not gonna get into. Um, but at the end of the day, I mean, like another thing too, like or the big thing that I didn't cover is the fact that if you thought like something like that did happen, you would know almost immediately. Nobody will show you videos or, especially with the water tampering thing. That's like a case you make off the rip. Pride, um, a no snitching code. Like none of that stuff applies. Like for a professional fighter, um, who's wronged in that fashion. Like in the sense of like somebody spiking your water and something or the gloves. I mean, all right, I'll reason with you and like say like the glove thing. You may find out after the fact, but the accusation that's put towards Breland um, has more to do with the spiking of the water. I mean, that's something that's really not easy to prove, but it's provable. I mean, you just have the commission take the water and test it, like or and I'm totally with the notion that the commissions may be corrupt, um, but you're pretty like quiet about all this stuff for like going damn near a year, um, and quiet about a lot of other things that like to me is very sus. Like quiet about like not like forcing the rematch with Fury to happen. Um, Quiet about fighting Fury again. Quiet about the fact that you something illegal happened to you. And a lot of people like they try to like mix you up, but I'm not stupid. Like a lot of people over the summer, months after the first like second fight, were saying to me like well like Wilder's not saying shit because he don't want to compromise the third fight. Like you could if you have a contract set in stone, you're not gonna compromise the third fight. He gotta fight you, basically, and you may not even get that fight anyway from the look of it. So what the fuck, um, so it's more and on top, one another thing too, like a lot of people like get at me like on the side like oh like if you're a Wilder fan like nah bro like I don't operate that way. One I mean like I've only been snaked by a friend, like a long term friend once, and I get like so I could reason with that in a sense, but there's just too many things like and um, where even if I like you, like I as a fan, like because I never met you, even though Wilder's met my cousin who's also a fighter, but that doesn't mean that you're above like me questioning you or like and don't try to like move me in a certain way. When I'm speaking more about Wilder by throwing other things into the mix, um, as to how this all happened. Like, nah, bro, you got lawyers. You could pay for investigations. That doesn't cost anything. You could put a lawyer and tie up somebody in litigation, like, and not Tyson Fury. I mean, solely, but like, like the commissions and whatnot. Um, so I mean, like, none of that stuff's happened. It's only been like a couple of whack statements, maybe 3 total since you lost to Fury. Like, you've done like 0 interviews. Like, you kind of like, left me hanging. Like, not that I like need ammunition that comes out of some Wilder statements to contend, like, something that I'm feeling that may have been awry. Sure, I mean, something I feel something may have been awry, but if you ain't saying nothing about it till like weeks later, and like then you stay quiet for months, and then now like you're only talking because Mark Breland said something, that shit sounds like either suspect or it's just straight whack. Like, I'm not I'm not buying what they're selling to a degree. I mean, and that's disappointing. But again, at the end of the day, life goes on. Like, boxing, still pretty whack right now, and like I'm only talking about this because Wilder is a big story, and there's not much going else happening in the boxing world. So it is what it is. With that, I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your evening, and be safe. Peace.